Bill Gates, co-founder of Microsoft. Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook. Gautam Adani, founder of the Adani Group. Richard Branson, co-founder of Virgin Group. Do you know what's common among all of them? You might be thinking, yes, they're some of the richest people in the world, dominating the present-day world. Take Richard Branson, for example. He became the first person to reach space in his very own spacecraft. But there's one more thing common among them. All these individuals successfully avoided falling into a trap that today, most people proudly walk into themselves. This trap changes the perception of reality to such an extent that amidst the chaos of endless information, no one can arrive at a sensible conclusion. People are forced to think, I don't care what I have to do, I must keep moving. I'll do something, whatever it takes. Parents feel the need to push their children into systems that fail to recognize their unique gifts and abilities, just because they don't fit into the mold of the conveyor belt system. In the US alone, there are more than 500,000 people who don't send their kids to school. Ironically, many of them are teachers themselves because they know how broken the system is. On the other hand, there's you. Perhaps you're studying in college right now, spending your time completing assignments, maintaining a 90% attendance record, memorizing books unwillingly, and following every rule, hoping that when you graduate, you'll have a degree in hand. You think, I'll get a good job, buy a big house for my parents, get a luxury car, get married, send my kids to good schools, and earn lots of money. But what's the reality? You prepared for life at 18 years old. Now, you're 30. What have you achieved in the last 12 years? After 15 years of hard work, you finally graduate, only to discover there are no jobs available for you. You attend countless interviews but get rejected every time for one reason or another. People begin mocking you. Your relatives stop talking to you. You feel such shame that you haven't even visited your village in 2 years. You're consumed by sadness and isolation. You lock yourself in your room, cry endlessly, and pray to God for just one job. Gradually, your self-esteem and self-confidence crumble. Eventually, you land a job, but the salary is so low that it's barely enough to survive. What can you do? Out of desperation, you take the job. The salary isn't enough to save for a home, so you take a home loan. Of course, you'll need a car too, so you take a car loan. Unknowingly, you've trapped yourself. Now you live in constant fear of losing your job, because if you do, you won't be able to manage your expenses or pay off your loans. Slowly, you give up on your dreams. You wake up every morning, go to a job you may not even like, and come back home in the evening. This routine becomes your normal. Over time, you age and reflect. Maybe I was just unlucky. I worked hard, but I couldn't achieve much in life. But the truth is far more sinister. The education system you blindly followed was never designed to make you successful. It was designed to create obedient workers for factories. The origins of this system can be traced back to 1806, during a war between Napoleon's army and Prussia. Despite having one of the best armies, Prussia lost the war. After much deliberation, Prussian leaders realized the problem. Their soldiers were too independent-minded. Instead of blindly following orders, they were thinking for themselves during battles. Meanwhile, Napoleon's army strictly followed his commands, and won. This defeat forced Prussian leaders to come up with a solution. They decided to create a system to produce obedient soldiers, soldiers who would follow orders without questioning. This led to the birth of the Prussian education system, designed to control young minds. Between the ages of 5 and 13, education was made mandatory to shape children into compliant individuals. The goal was never to encourage creativity or independent thought, but to produce obedient factory workers. In the late 1800s, other countries adopted this model, especially during the Industrial Revolution, when factories needed a large workforce. Small-scale farmers and business owners were forced to send their children to these schools, where they were brainwashed into believing that working in factories was their only path to earning money. By the 1830s, the British implemented a similar system in India through Lord Macaulay's English Education Act of 1835. Macaulay's goal wasn't to educate Indians but to create a class of people who were Indian in blood and color but English in taste, opinion, morals, and intellect. Over time, Indians were brainwashed into following British rules without question, believing it was their duty. But what about today? Even 76 years after independence, we still follow the same education system. From the moment a child is born, parents think about sending them to a prestigious school, not for education, but for status. You enter school with a curious and creative mind, only to be handed a syllabus that limits your world. You're taught to memorize and follow rules, while your creativity and individuality are systematically suppressed. Parents never question what schools are teaching or whether it aligns with their child's interests. This cycle continues, trapping generation after generation in the same system. But here's the good news. The system may be broken, but you have the power to break free. Success doesn't come from blindly following rules, it comes from thinking independently, pursuing your passions, and questioning the status quo. So, are you ready to step out of the trap and build a life of true freedom? My dear friends, if you feel trapped in a similar cycle and want to break free, you're not alone. If you found this story inspiring and want to see the next chapter, give this video a like. Let's aim for 150 likes, and we'll create part 2 of this journey. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Way of Momen, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest videos.